your question on Instagram. All right. That's a little song I wrote called "Going Live on Instagram."
I like it.
Welcome everybody to Crossing the Streams. Oh my goodness gracious! Where we answer the universal question: what should I binge watch next? I just watched something, and now I gotta watch something else. We've come to the right place. We have over 1,000 hours of binge watching recommendation knowledge between the five of us, and so we're ready to roll it all out for you. We've got special guests today. We have we're now returning friends of the show, Crimm and Patricia Ray.
Yay! Thanks for having us, Jeff.
And of course, even more returning. So shove it in their face. Mick Manhattan, regular.
Thank you.
And Ron Lippett is here from traveling the globe. He's here to tell us what's hot on the Delta.
That's exactly what I am telling you. What's hot on Delta on the back of somebody else's seat.
It's that is the way to go. So this is episode 152.
What?
It is 151 streaming hours on our YouTube channel. I'm finally getting good at making thumbnails. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I'm definitely having more fun with it. So what's going on, everybody? Chris and Patricia, Patty, tell us a little bit about your podcast, where we can find you. Little upfront.
So we've Chris, Crimm, and I co-host a show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. Believe This. It's current events, hot topics, and we usually take opposing positions on a subject, and we go at it. But
I'm usually right.
And we always, we stay friends, and we open each other's minds up to different opinions. I yell at Chris a lot. and it's our 1 year anniversary was this week's episode was our 1 year anniversary. So we've done 49 episodes, and we finally adulted to new microphones. So I see that Mick and I have the same microphone. Huh?
It's a good one.
Mick, how many microphones do you have?
Me?
Yeah.
Too many. Probably too many.
That's how you know when you've been podcasting a lot.
When you have more than one mic.
Yeah.
Well, I have my baby mic in the closet. My little Jetty Nano. I used to have to scream in her, like directly into her, and I couldn't move because I sounded like I was in a toilet or something.
I have 5 mics if you count the little ball one, the snowball one. It was probably the original that I got.
Oh wow.
Oh man.
So listen to our show and follow us on Instagram at Believe This Podcast, or on X, and give us a listen. It's a lot of fun. Jeff gave us a lot of advice actually when we were starting out. We picked.
So we could have been doing better. So yeah.
I held them back with my advice.
I highly doubt that. Jeff knows what he's talking about.
Mick, tell everyone about the Scene Snobs goodness.
The
Scene Snobs channel. You guys go check it out. You type it in, you'll see it. We're on thescenesnobs.com, or YouTube is our main channel. Hopefully you guys hang out. We have a good time with a little bit of taste of absurdity and a lot of laughs. So it's like hanging out with your friends at the video store. So
hi. Are you guys high?
So I know Mick's got some cool swag. I had a meeting with T Public. That's one of those t-shirt places. And so I started getting into making designs, and I have to admit, I sold my first. I'm proud to say I sold 2 things so far. So wow. I've now made $2.50.
Wow. How much did you spend though?
Well, I didn't spend anything because I've been using AI and my Photoshop skills.
Oh, look at you.
To make them. I have a whole pickleball line of t-shirts. If you want to go buy a pickleball, I just started playing pickleball. And the ones that I sold a sticker and a t-shirt. I don't remember how I did it, but I made the Jaws poster out of it's Lego though.
Nice.
Yeah. So the AI must have not realized it was not supposed to do that for me, but but it did. Okay, we're good. So, Patricia, Patty was on my podcast. You guys can go check that out. She's a famous actress. I'm sure you guys recognize her from something.
Well, Mick
That
saw
was
me
me
in
team.
Blood
That
Sucking
was me
Bastard.
team.
Did
Yeah.
I reckon? I didn't. I wanted to ask. Like, so blood sucking bastards. We're talking about. Friends of mine made that movie. Dr. God. They're a great improv group back in the day at IO West, and they got together and made that. And it's you're great in it. I love that movie. It's funny as hell. Great cast. If anybody hasn't seen it, go check it out. Go check out Patricia in it.
Oh,
I
thank
gotta
you.
see it now.
Thank
I
you.
didn't even know
a
about
lot
it.
of it's a vampire movie. It's like Office Space meets the vampire-less stuff.
Comedy horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people are in it. Pedro Pascal is in it.
Mhm.
Ooh, I like
Matt
that.
Joey
Lillard.
Fisher. Yeah,
Yeah, but Petty Ray's in it.
I'm in it.
That's
right.
right. Patty's in it.
That's all that matters.
Lee, what's up, Lee? And is that you, Mick?
Hey, Lee.
Talking to
Yeah,
us?
I wanted to say hi to Lee.
Hey
So,
Lee, how are you, Lee?
awesome. Oh, we got a packed show today. So excited that Lee's here. And let's see, what do we got? Episode last week we talked about X-Men 97, Sugar, the Fall Guy movie, which and Palm Royale. And today we're going to talk about Brats. It's an unofficial submission here, but also Fallout, Under the Bridge, Impractical Jokers, and Outlander. Now, I saw Mick. I saw you say that the Fall Guy, and I love Ryan Gosling, but the movie didn't do anything for me. For some reason, it never clicked for me.
That's fair.
It makes me want to watch it again because I feel like even when I was talking about it on the show, I was the only one of that opinion. And
yeah. It's not a pinnacle of filmmaking, but it is stunt wise. I would say it is, and I feel like
just mindless action.
It's you know what it is. It's a different kind of action, and something that I like seeing ushered in right now. We saw it with Roadhouse. We saw it with this the Axel Foley movie, the new Beverly Hills Cop. Looks like it's going to be one, and it's been maybe about the past less than a year, I'd say. You get these movies coming out that are just really fun, and I have to tell you, they're the only things that are fun seem coming out of Hollywood right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not drab, droll, Walking Dead type apocalyptic, then give me this. I'd rather have something
or politics.
Fun. I hear Bad Boys is really good.
Yeah, that's another one. Another one that fits that mold for sure. It's just like really fun action movies where it's not offensive. It's just go out, have a good time, but it doesn't feel like everything's going to end.
And then let me ask everyone's opinion real quick on news that just broke, which is that they're going to make Josh Gad is making Spaceballs 2 with Mel Brooks as an executive director. I'll tell you, my first reaction was, "Oh God,
yes."
Well, Mel Brooks is involved, so it should be.
Well, okay. I mean, he's practically. I love Mel Brooks.
Involved, but you know, Weekend at Bernie's involved. You know, listen. You don't. We've all learned this from Anchorman and other perfect comedies. You don't mess with perfection, and I think this is a very careful, delicate, likely disastrous choice to remake this movie. So that's my personal opinion on it.
Nobody talks about the History of the World reboot or the History of the World 2. Nobody talks.
That's right. Nobody talks.
Or Young Frankenstein 2.
Was there even one?
Well, no, History of the World Part 2 happened, Patty.
Oh no, but not Young Frankenstein.
Oh my gosh, can you even imagine them trying a Young Frankenstein 2?
No.
The problem with
half
remaking,
the cast is dead already.
The problem with remaking any Mel Brooks movie from a certain point and back is there's no Madeline Kahn. And if she's not in it, it's not going to be funny.
I miss Madeline Kahn.
We all miss Madeline Kahn. God bless Madeline Kahn.
Yeah.
She was brilliant.
All right. Well, I wanted to cover those important tasks.
Well, can I just add one thing to the Fallout? Because I love Ryan Gosling and I love Emily Blunt. Fall Guy. And I so wanted it to be good. I just felt like, first of all, they were hardly in any scenes together. And they didn't have that much chemistry. I mean, the movie really worked.
I didn't think so either.
Wow, I thought they had amazing chemistry. I thought the way she was looking at him, like
I
John
wanted
Krasinski's
more
out.
of it, and they were barely together. And those were the scenes when I felt the movie really shined. But he spends half the movie without her.
Well, I would. That's true, but it is very similar to what the TV show was, which I would give it there. And that would, being separate from her and going out on this really made sense to drive the stunts home. Like, because if they're together, you're not going to get a lot of stunts, and that's the whole point of this movie.
Get some sex stunts.
I
needed some more sex in that movie.
I believed he was into her. I didn't even believe she was interested in the movie she was making.
Emily was like,
I will say that the last 15 minutes of The Fall Guy was super fun, right?
Yeah.
But you can't make me sit for an hour or whatever and then have the last 50. It was more of an homage to Miami Vice, I think, than the original Fall Guy. The guy but anyway, it wasn't horrible. I could watch Ryan Gosling all the time, and Emily Blunt is always great, but like, I don't know. Let's
I'm not going to defend it.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I lean to more people have your opinion than mine. So let's keeping with the fall theme. Let's talk about Fallout.
The irony of apocalyptic, downtrodden, crazy. I'm talking about Fallout, but I honestly like that. This is another one that was fun action adventure. It removes you really well from the feeling of dread and doom because it takes place like 230 years later from when all the bombs went off and such and created this world. I knew nothing about Fallout. I didn't play any of the video games. I only knew it from friends talking about the games when they were playing them. So when I got into this show, I was like, let me just see if it's good for somebody who's not a fan of the games. I fell in love with it. It was so much fun. The main character in it, Lucy, she was wonderful throughout. Walton Goggins,
a good actress.
I will be in, and I'll watch anything Walton Goggins in. He's just fantastic in everything. And this is no shortage of great performance in this. It's just all the way throughout. You have Lucy's character, their vault, where all these dwellers live, try to live safely. Gets raided and her father gets taken, so she goes on a mission in the outside world to go and get him. And she learns a lot about what the hell's been going on and who Vault Tech, the company that she lives in this vault that made it, who her father is throughout this and what they've created. It's a really well done television show. I can't wait for more. I want to see the story go on. And the cool thing I learned about it is all of the video games and this show are all canon. They all take place after, certain points. It's a different sort of timeline in America. So why we're using old radio waves instead of like where we're at, now, but it takes place in like 2029 when the bombs drop. They explain all of that. They give you like a background of it. So like, I didn't feel like I was left out of anything. So they did a really good job kind of tying things together and made me want to explore more on it. It's a good show.
So it's The Last of Us. I'd never seen. I'd never played that video game. I enjoyed that show very much.
Great show.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
It is. That's one of the best bleak end of the world type TV shows I've seen. Like, because they do it really well. It doesn't always feel pessimistic.
I have a question, Nick.
Yeah.
I have a question. Does Fallout use any theme music by Fallout Boys? Because whether or not you like them, that's a missed opportunity if they don't.
I don't think they do. That's a lot of it is 60s type music, 50s, 60s, and stuff like that. That kind of.
So Fallout isn't a docuseries about
the Fallout Boys. How unusual.
During Apocalypse.
Ultimately a fun show. I think people check it out if you're really into that. It is gory as hell though, just so you guys know, but like more in a fun way, not a like
gory fun.
More in a fun apocalyptic way.
It's gory in a makes me jump back every time way is The Boys.
My wife stopped watching it because
my husband loves that show.
Like
Yeah.
it's like the first 3 episodes of season 4
3.
are out now.
Yeah.
Oh, they're out?
No, it's season
The
4,
first
isn't it?
episode is,
Yeah,
yeah.
season 4.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you were going with the first episode of season 3 was the end for you, but that was the end for my
Oh no,
wife.
I haven't
The
given
first
up.
scene.
I mean, but like it's heavily political now, which I do love. I'm not, but like, or it's heavily political satire, really leaning in. I guess it's always been, but now it's like it's not like you can't miss it now. And
so
It's
behind.
not so discreet anymore.
yeah, it's not as discreet. And I love it still, but it's like, oh my God, sometimes when they are killing people, it's like catches me off guard because it's very
They're
cartoony.
good at that.
Yeah.
So did you guys watch? You watched Amazon. You watched Invincible, didn't you, Jeff? On Amazon.
Season 1 I watched.
Right, season 1, and it's a pretty bland superhero story until suddenly, like the last episode is the most violent, like blood-soaked, it just like complete left turn from the earlier parts of the series. It's pretty funny, but I enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. What's up next? Let's talk about, I'm interested in this one. Let's talk about Under the Bridge, the Hulu classic.
Mm-hmm.
Patty?
I went into this actually really reluctant because I was a little underwhelmed with Lily Gladstone. I felt like she thought she was going to win the Oscar, and I felt she was a little ungracious about that. So I kind of wanted her to, and I thought Emma Stone should have won. I was a Emma Stone fan the whole way. So I kind of wanted her to prove herself in this show. And she did. She does some really nice work. Very subtle, but I saw a lot more colors than I saw in her performance in, what was that movie?
Oh, for the Oscars?
Yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes, Killers of the Flower Moon. So basically, it's based on a true story. It was a book written by Rebecca Godfrey, set in Canada, Victoria, Canada. And she goes, I don't know, I didn't read the book, so I could just tell you what the show is. She goes back home to kind of write a book. She's a writer. She does editorials for a magazine, and she starts writing about teenage angst and the kind of things that girls do to manipulate other girls to kind of become popular and have power.
Yeah.
And these girls that live in a foster home start picking on this Indian girl from India. And the Indian girl wants to be accepted because her parents are Jehovah's Witnesses and they're very strict at home. And she lives her mother tries to keep her very sheltered. So she's trying to spread her wings, and she befriends the baddest girl in the school that lives in this foster home. And in order to befriend her, she does a lot of shitty things to her parents and disrespects them. At one point, she actually tells the police that her father sexually molested her so that she could stay in the foster home with the girls. And they kind of turn on her, and she does something to them that makes them seek revenge. One girl in particular who was amazing in this show. Her real name is Izzy G, but in the show she plays the character Kelly Ellard, who really went to jail for this crime. This young actress reminds me so much of Madonna, actually, and she's just carried this whole show. I mean, she was so intense, and she knew how to be small and relied on her groundedness. She knew her strength. She knew how to push it without pushing her acting. Riley Keough is in it. Her and Lily Gladstone are the leads. And Kylie does a beautiful job, too, of playing this very remorseful writer who goes back home. She plays Rebecca Godfrey, the writer. And she's writing this book, but her parents are kind of like, her brother dies when she's young, so they're all still grieving. They're always grieving. And so she gets very connected to this case because she's trying to kind of forgive herself for letting her brother die. So it's beautiful performances, really astonishing. The cruelty that these young misguided children can enact on another human being. The sense of loss and gravitas. It's a really beautiful show, and I recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it. It really was eye-awakening, especially when you realize it's a true story that there was someone capable of being so cruel and so callous, and she only served 16 years.
Oh wow!
Wow, Jesus.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it was. I thought it was based on a book, but I didn't realize it was based on a true. Okay, so it's just one season then.
yeah, I would think so because they all, the writer died and they've all been in and out of jail.
No spoilers! You're telling people to stream this.
What?
The sequel's
Don't
it's
spoil
under
I know.
under that bridge. It's
So it's on Hulu. I highly recommend
it. A whole
it.
different story.
Big thumbs up.
Yeah.
Binge watch it. I watched it in like 1 week. Whenever my husband was watching the Yankees, I'd be like, I'll just be in the bedroom. 4 episodes later.
Sounds like the kind of show that I would look at the synopsis and pass on, but then if I start watching it, I get hooked.
Yes, it sounds super depressing. And it's not with a lack of gravitas in a sense of like urgency, but it really is so intriguing to see these girls be so cunning and so vicious to drive their wants so much that they sacrifice another human being.
I think I know these people.
Are you gonna call them MAGAs?
I didn't say nothing.
I will
listen to believe this.
Not to circle back on your earlier comment about Lily Gladstone. I think she thought she was going to win the Oscar because she won everything.
Everything. She won everything.
And the media sort of was making such a big deal out of it that she probably started to believe
the hype,
the press more than whatever.
And reality. She was just very disappointed, and you could see. I mean, she couldn't hide it.
Well, I mean, she literally won everything else. That's the problem with the Oscars, right? Then they combine some of the things that are separate in the other ones, so you can be winning in all those other ones, and then when they combine it, then you don't really know what's going to happen. But I never saw Killers of the Flower Moon because I never had a free 24 hours.
Well, you can watch it in stages like a mini series.
That's true. So
it's like
all right. Let's talk about let's do Impractical Jokers with Chris Crimm of the
So when you think about shows to stream, you think about engaging characters, engaging personalities, good storytelling, good story arcs. This has at least one of those. But I figured I would put a twist in there, and
you went a different way. You went the other way with that one.
Because I like to be different. I figured I'd bring different. Impractical Jokers, for those who don't know it and are still under rocks, are 4 friends that grew up together and decided to create a show because I guess they weren't getting cast. But they created a show where they would challenge each other to embarrassing challenges. And they would have to do it. If they lose, they have to be punished and do a punishment that they have to do, which is usually something terrifying. The great thing about streaming the show, Jeff says when the show begins, at the beginning on the onset, we give you more things to stream. You've streamed everything and you need something else to stream. The great thing about Impractical Jokers I found is you can restream it. And it feels the same as the first time you saw it. It's not like you're waiting for a surprise or a spoiler. These guys have such an infectious laughter themselves. It's like there doesn't have to be anything funny happening on the screen. Nothing laugh out loud, make you fall off your chair, but you still might do it watching them laugh. It is amazing. If you haven't seen it, check it out. If you're having a bad day, having a bad week, having a bad summer, whatever, watch Impractical Jokers, feel better. There's not a whole lot more to say than that. It's just good fun.
Huh.
I saw them live at the Fox Theater.
Were they funny for that?
Yeah, they would do like a little shtick, and then they show a video, and they would do some live shtick. It was fun.
Sounds about right.
So how long
Sounds
are
like
these,
their show.
how long are these shows?
I think they're a half hour long. So sometimes you get carried away. You can sit there and start one, and if you just play one after the other, you might find yourself 3 hours later, like, okay, I'm gonna get up and make dinner now.
Got it. But are they moving from bit to bit, or is it 1/2 hour?
Yeah, it's a competition. So like, they'll each try a challenge. Someone will lose. They'll each try to start a challenge. Someone will lose, and they gather the tally of who had the most lost challenges.
Got it.
That decided not to go through with whatever they were being challenged to do, and
Per
then
episode.
Per episode.
Okay.
Right, and then
the rule is if you don't do the challenge, the punishment, you get thrown off the show. So no one ever got thrown off. I think Joe Gatto left the show for personal reasons. I'm a little behind myself, but yeah, it's just good fun. These guys are fun. These are the kind of guys you want to hang out with when you're bored and just like.
Give us an example of one of the jokes.
The challenges.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're in a coffee shop, and a bunch of people have the laptops open. They're either doing personal thing, homework assignments, business work, whatever. And the thing is, walk around and shut their laptop and say, close it, and just move about your business and move to the next one and hope you don't get your ass kicked, basically.
It's actually pretty fun.
They've got cameras, just so everyone knows. They're monitoring with cameras. They have ear things, so they're talking to the guy.
Usually around a coffee cup that has a microphone in it, so it's not like a real coffee. Yeah, it's very, very clever what they do.
Yeah, their punishments are always the best too, because like all of them have different things that bother them or they're afraid of or whatever, and they will always just nail that one in. Like the one dude was afraid of skydiving, so they made him skydive. 3 of them lost one time, had to get like terrible tattoos. Like the one guy got on his thigh. It was Jaden Smith. And then and that followed up a few years later, a punishment where Jaden Smith was doing a Q&A and he had to go and act like the biggest to do. It's cringeworthy what they do. It's like, but it's great. Like they play it off.
They don't get the reference Crangis McBasketball. I can't yell that out anywhere and people get it. So watch the show so I can yell out Crangis McBasketball and you'll understand why.
And they're all like great friends.
Yeah, they're since like high school.
Apparently, yeah.
So
the movie sucked though. I didn't like the movie. Don't watch the movie.
Yeah,
watch the show.
No, the movie was
there's
terrible.
some fun challenges in the movie, but yeah, that's about it. Like the show is 10.
Did you wonder if those challenges were made up for the movie? If they were like,
some of them
manufactured, right? Yeah,
some of them I did. I like the tiger and the.
Yeah. There's no way that was real.
Yeah, there's some crazy stuff they put on those show.
So it is fun. It is one of those things you can kind of just watch and walk away. Even you don't even have to watch the
and
whole,
then you'll come back and you'll watch it again later.
You don't even have to watch the whole episode. It's one of the beauties of that show. So all right, let's talk about one. This one's gonna be quick, but let's talk about Brats for a second. Okay. This is a little odd one because this is the one. Oh, what am I doing here? Hello. Okay. This is mine, but I only picked it because I know Mick saw the whole thing. But I didn't make it through 15 minutes of this. So I do want to say.
Fred off.
What was it?
You just want to piss Fred off.
Well, it was interesting because one of the reasons I watched this because Fred wrote immediately. I've watched it twice now. And so, look, when this preview came out, so Brats is about Andrew McCarthy, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez, Demi Moore, Michael Anthony Hall, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy, that group back in that time frame, and they were labeled the Brat Pack. And I lived through that.
Documentary?
It's a documentary, yeah.
Andrew McCarthy directed it.
Andrew McCarthy did. So I, so when that was announced, I'm like, oh, this is going to be the greatest thing ever because
all of our childhoods.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Should have been.
I love every second of that idea. And the Brat Pack movies, Breakfast Club. You can say what you want about them now, but at the time they were all amazing. 16 Candles, Weird Science. What else? Any of them? St. Elmo's Fire,
Pretty in Pink.
Yeah. So all these classics where they were all kind of in it. So to revisit that whole concept, so I'm starting to watch the movie, and it turns out all this movie is, at least as far as I got.
Who did you get to in the interview?
Ali Sheedy.
Oh God.
I got through the first 2 interviews, and really it's all Andrew McCarthy going, didn't this just ruin your life, Tom? I mean, it just didn't. It was horrible. Is it horrible for you?
That's what he sounded like.
Well,
pretty much.
That's what he sounded like. And I was like, it was just like, come on, dude. It's like, he gets Emilio Estevez on camera. They're sitting there talking to each other. They haven't seen each other in 30 years. Emilio Estevez never talks about this at all. It was the most uncomfortable interview I've ever seen in my life. And at the end of it, I don't know that Emilio Estevez added anything other than just being there. Like, other than saying, oh, by the way, there was a movie we were both going to be in, and I tanked it because I didn't want to work with you because they didn't want to perpetuate the Brat Pack thing. So it wasn't even like Hollywood. It was like they all kind of like turned on each other because of this Brat thing. And I didn't watch it enough to really understand. But the article, I guess, that was written that labeled Brat Pack, which was a play on Rat Pack, was a story about Emilio Estevez originally, and then sort of expanded into all these bratty folks at the time who we all loved, right? I mean, it's like
everything you've just said about this movie makes it sound like you have packed in everything that's in it. That's how much you've put out, and you've watched 15 minutes and have no idea where this went. And it's not on you. I'm not picking on you for that. I get it. I get why you bailed after 15 minutes. I kind of wish I did too, but it gets so much more haywire after Ali Sheedy with Andrew McCarthy. And I've written about this now. No, in a terrible way.
Oh, no.
No.
He's got such a chip on his shoulder about the Brat Pack. And what this was a man who thought, I'm going to make the documentary completely tearing down the ideals of the Brat Pack. You could tell, like, that's what the wheels were turning. He's talking to the camera, basically talking and telling that point. And then he goes on this crusade. Yes, Emilio Estevez was a get. And I bet you any amount of money he used that to get him in the documentary. Dude, we need to talk about when you tanked the movie and we lost it. I'm sorry, Andrew McCarthy. And most of the Brat Pack, I love those movies. They're great for the time. They're not great actors. Emilio Estevez is probably above them. Judd Nelson was good, but he didn't want to be a part of that whole thing. They weren't that great of actors. If they were, they'd still be huge and acting and everything. And Andrew McCarthy, I'm sorry, I've seen Mannequin, and that was after you were labeled the Brat Pack. You ain't that good at it. You're okay. You're cool when you pop up.
Demi and Rob Lowe, who, by the way, I never thought of as Brat
Demi
Pack
Moore,
kids.
but she fell off too. She stopped.
Like when you think of the Brat Pack, honestly, for me, it was always, Molly, Andrew,
Judd Hirsch.
No, not so much. Not like who do you when you think of the
that was part of the kerfuffle of the movie, Ron, is they didn't really know who was in the Brat Pack.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Other than Emilio Estevez, for sure.
Emilio Estevez certainly would be in that.
Hold on. They tell you in the movie.
Well, I mean, there was ancillary ones that were like,
no. They in fact, all the ancillary ones that they invited onto this said, no, we're not. This is how this worked. Like, it was the St. Elmo's Fire crew. Everybody in St. Elmo's Fire and Molly Ringwald. That's it. Those are the Brat Packers that they considered and were written about in the article. And the reason I say that is because it's a plot point to this documentary. I'm not trying to fight you on it, Jeff.
Oh, no. They kind of were saying that in the beginning. It was just like, is this person in John Cryer's tangent? Yeah, I mean,
tangent.
You saw the movie, Mick. I will.
The only reason he says that is because that's who he got to be in this documentary.
Did was it explained why Molly wouldn't be interviewed?
Molly Ringwald and Judd Nelson didn't return the calls. They like Emilio Estevez looks like he was held hostage to do this.
It's so uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable. And like every single person. Ali Sheedy, you could tell, has kind of a chip on her shoulder, but she's moved on. Every single person he talks to is like, no, we don't care. In fact, Rob Lowe is the best interview in this, besides the writer of the article who coined the phrase, who Andrew McCarthy shows up, he sits down with in his own apartment, and Andrew McCarthy is just being a dickhead to him the whole time. And the guy's just like, you know what? I'm glad I wrote it. Yeah, I was 29. Maybe it wasn't my best work, but I was honest and I did what I did. You know, and I called you the Brat Pack. That's who you're. And he's acting like a brat the entire time. But like he's trying to
Andrew
talk.
McCarthy said "I" so many times in this movie. I think he said it right.
Oh my god!
This could have been a great opportunity for a fan to make this movie and really bring everybody together, and maybe have these people see why it's so beloved and the Brat Pack was a good thing. But Andrew McCarthy doing this has ruined the chance of a Brat Pack documentary being made, because nobody's there.
If I might interrupt,
please.
You know, Andrew McCarthy will start popping up in movies and TV shows, and really, that's why he did it.
You'll be surprised he does not come out looking good in this.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Now he's on the minds of every casting director. Everybody's talking about him. He's on everybody's lists. When a breakdown comes down, a casting director is going to be like, what about Andrew McCarthy? Everybody's talking about him because he did that, documentary. I'm telling you, I promise 6 months from now, he's going to be starring in a new TV show.
All right, 6 months from now, we got to come back. All of us on this show
to talk about.
If he's not on a TV
Andrew's
show. We're talking about.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Weekend at Bernie's. He was great in that.
Look, we all enjoy. I'm not going to disagree whether or not they're all the greatest actors in the world, but we all enjoyed the hell out of these.
Yes, no argument.
Right, and so Anthony Michael Hall wasn't interviewed either.
Besides Emilio Estevez and Demi Moore, name a movie by any of the core group that after 1990 was really something that is like.
Well, I mean, you mean other than Rob Lowe?
But he's a movie, though. I said not TV. He's
Rob Lowe's more
he's
TV guy.
TV guy. And the fact that he embraced all of this, and you hear that in the documentary, he embraced the Brat Pack and all that. I swear to God, that's why his career stayed and had that longevity. He was making friends in Hollywood.
So I admittedly, I have not seen this, although I was looking forward to watching it, though not anymore. But I will just say, no one's a bigger John Hughes fan than me. And I was hoping that this was going to be essentially a celebration of the genius of John Hughes, right?
Barely mention him.
No.
That's such a disappointment.
It's not even about his movies. It really is just about the Brat Pack moniker. Like they discuss the zeitgeist of the movies and things like that.
Yeah.
They have to. You cannot. And in fact, it's the people around them that he's interviewing that are like, the people who aren't in it, they're all like, yeah, this is amazing. Even like John Cryer, Leah Thompson, all of them are like, yeah, we wanted to be in the Brat Pack. That meant automatic stardom. And he just couldn't get it. It just seemed like he was like.
Have any of you guys watched 16 Candles like recently?
Yeah, it's a problem.
That is.
Molly Ringwald talks bad about it now too.
It does, like, to say it doesn't hold up is not even enough. Like it's flat out like
terrible,
not acceptable anymore. Like it's a really horrendous message with really creepy undertones.
Pretty in Pink too.
Pretty in Pink also, actually.
Andrew McCarthy's character in that is horrible to her, and she ends up with him.
Yep.
Well, all of those movies are problematic now. Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds. Pretty. Yeah. Isn't there? There's basically a rape scene in Revenge of the Nerds.
Not basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can thank Me Too for ruining movies.
No, I don't think
you asked who did something. Didn't Judd Nelson do something?
Judd Nelson's done a lot.
He did that movie about that thing that nobody. I can't remember.
Was it called The Thing?
The Thing.
No. He did Cabin by the Woods, where he played a serial killer, and he did a pretty good job in that. But like nothing to acclaim, nothing to really start him. And he was actually one that removed himself after that to just focus on more independent projects and stuff like that. Not that he didn't take the roles that he could get, but like it just didn't seem like he wanted to fit that teenage mold. So
Right.
he went on.
I saw him in like an independent film from somebody who like was interviewing. He was in it. But Molly Ringwald was just in
she's in a show now.
The Swans. She was
she's very good in that.
I like her. She's actually really smart. If you listen to her interviews, she's actually a very intelligent, interesting person, I have to say.
Yeah, she can put her makeup on by doing that.
I never said she wasn't talented. I just said that,
Listen, I'm not tearing apart the Brat Pack. I'm tearing apart this documentary. That was tearing apart the Brat Pack.
We're all on the same page.
Yeah, they just came off very ungrateful. And you know what? Seize the moment, man. If the people want to hire you to be a Brat Packer, write it all the way to the bank. And then when you have enough power because you've made enough money, you can tell the studio, just like Matthew McConaughey did. He played all of those, the falling in love guy, all the romantic comedies, and he kept doing them. He kept saying, I don't want to do this anymore. And then, but he waited until he had this is all in that book.
Red Light, Green Light?
Green Lights. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He waited until he had enough power, and he showed up to this party, a big producer party, and he shaved his head. And because he wanted to play this character in the movie, but they wanted him to be like romantic comedy. He's like, no, this guy needs to be a badass. He needs to be. So he shows up to this producer party, shaved head, and the producer was like, come to the studio. You got the part. He had to prove it to them, but he had the backing. He had the years and years of box office success of, big $1 million hits. So he wrote it all the way to the bank. Sometimes you got to let the green lights go in your life and let them get you where you're going. Don't stop yourself because you don't like the work that you're doing. Keep working and then create the work that you want.
All right.
Wise words.
I've been doing this for 30 years.
She does that once in a while.
What's up?
I give her credit.
You give me credit. Thank you.
Good job. All right. Got one more coming up. This is Outlander. And this is Ron Lippett. He's going to go on a sabbatical, maybe. And
bit of a sabbatical.
How many seasons? Jesus.
So they just released their 8th season, and I have to admit to you guys that I'm brand new to this. I had to be convinced to start it. It was one of those situations where it just was too daunting as the season started racking up. It's like, do I really want to begin a heavy, period drama, that's freaking, 7, now 8 seasons long. But my brother of all people convinced me to take a more serious look at this. Have any of you guys watched it through?
I've watched, I think I gave up on like season 2 or 3.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know it, the basic theme is a World War II nurse, 1945, basically finds herself traveling back in time to the 1730s. And she is this strong, independent nurse now in the 1700s, trying to find her way, and her understanding of history and her ability to apply her skills and experience and smarts helps to kind of create this path for her. And she ends up doing all these incredible things and falling in love and all this other fun stuff. And I will just tell you, it feels like it wanted to be Game of Thrones, but it's not quite Game of Thrones. I think it's more perhaps a little more intelligent than Game of Thrones, but not as interesting as Game of Thrones. Like the storylines aren't quite as interesting. So, but what I do find interesting is that the show was produced by Sony Pictures in 2013. It was, if you can imagine this, you guys, green lit after 1 episode for a 2nd and 3rd season. They did the thing where they pre-produced 8 episodes of season 1, and then they went on with another 8 episodes of season 1. So they literally greenlit season 1 while they were producing season 1. I mean, it's weird how they did that, but it got picked up by Sony. Ended up selling it to Starz, and that's who ended up owning the show, and then Netflix released it here in the United States, and it's been I have to say really successful. It it started out with a 92 Rotten Tomato score and worked its way into the upper 80s over a long period. It's even season 7 was 89, so it's like it's held up as a show. And what I've learned, I'm only in season 2 now, but what I've learned is that this show has a strong following. The people that like this show love this show and are intensely loyal to the show, watch it over and over, and that has powered the production, and I think some of the reasons why this show has been held to such high standards because of the loyal audience that it serves. The star of the show is someone I've never heard of before. Her name is Contrita Balfe. She is Irish and English. Interesting woman. The only thing I could figure out that she was known for was Ford versus Ferrari, which is a movie I never saw.
Movie. It's a good movie.
Is it a good movie? I never saw it.
It's a true story. It's worth a watch. It's worth
okay. The only recognizable person in the show is a guy named Tobias Menzies. If you're a Game of Thrones person, he played Lord Edmure in the Game of Thrones franchise, and I have to say he's got the tough role on the show because he actually plays two characters. He plays the modern character and the character who's the antagonist in the 1700s, which is actually pretty good for him. And I dare say he kind of got the short end of the stick playing Edmure in Game of Thrones, which I just absolutely love. Because this is a much wider ranging, tougher role for him. And I think he does a great job here. So I have newfound respect for our Lord Edmure from Game of Thrones for this piece. The only other name worth mentioning is a guy named Sam Heughan. Sam plays the love interest of our nurse lead, Katrina. And again, in searching for him and seeing if there's anything that our audience would recognize, the answer is no. He's done everything on the stage in Ireland and in England. And this is really his first big break, and he's kind of stuck with it over these years. So you're seeing a largely Irish and Scottish cast that is producing for American audiences. And I can think of probably a handful of shows that are just like that. They figured out the secret sauce. I just kept waiting for it to kind of carve into its own path. Is it a docudrama? Is it a period piece? Is it a historical fiction? It's kind of none of those things. It really is a time travel, story with kind of a smattering of women empowerment, which I think is what makes it kind of cool, to be very honest with you. I think it's the notion of this woman being a woman in the 1700s is really what's interesting in this show, because as we all know, women didn't have any power or any kind of ability to kind of navigate back in those days, and this woman does. And I think that's what I enjoy of the show, and I think that's what the writers had in mind all along, and they had a strong actor in this Katrina Balfe to do that. So it's a good show. I'm looking forward to the rest of season 2 and into season 3. I am sorry to hear that that you dropped off after season 2, because that might think that maybe it's not as interesting after season 2. But based on the Rotten Tomatoes, it seems like people are sticking with it.
Yeah, sometimes I'm not. Huh? Was it too woke? It might have been too woke. It's like Norma Ray meets, kind of like a Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and that's exactly. I was trying to figure out when I was talking about this tonight. Well, like what? Because it's clearly it's a combination.
Or the time traveler's wife. That's what I meant.
Yeah, it's like it's
Norma
exactly
Ray meets
it's a time traveler's wife meets Game of Thrones. That's exactly the way I see it.
But you didn't really talk about the sex, because there's a lot of sexy ass scenes in that show.
Well, so I was thinking about that, about how when they cast this young lady. I imagine they must have just said to her right up front, listen, it's a great show. It's going to be amazing writing.
You're going to become
just so
famous.
You know, you're going to be naked as hell throughout this series. And
but
if you're not okay with that,
famous.
Yeah, you'll be famous. But if you're not okay with that, stop now, because because that's what we're asking for in the show. Because I agree, it is a very, very sexual show.
And she's beautiful, and she has a beautiful
She is
body,
beautiful.
and the cast is really good, and everyone's really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Sometimes I stop watching shows because I'm just not in the right head for them. So when I go back to a show that's good, it always turns out that I should have watched it through the.
But it is a show that, you know, talks about uncomfortable themes, you know, violence against women and rape and all these things that, you know, if that's not your thing, if you can't see that, I get it. This might not be your show, but if you're okay kind of dealing with it and kind of understanding how women had to deal with shit like that back in the 1700s, I think you might find this to be an interesting voyage for you. So,
all right.
Nice.
Thank you, Ron.
Never steered me wrong before.
Yeah,
I love your pick.
So just FYI, I am going to take a little bit of a sabbatical from the show. I don't know, Jeff, you were going to talk about this, but I'm not leaving the show. So not going anywhere. I've got a stack of stuff that's impacting my ability to be on the show. So I will be around and continue to lurk and write snarky things to you guys during your shows.
So. Amazing. Thank you.
Well, all right. To see you're on, man. I missed you.
This is a great show, and so we look forward to you ending your sabbatical already. Bring a lot to the show.
I miss you already, Ron.
We miss you. We miss you. I've prepared this montage.
I'm never here, and I miss you.
All right, Chris and Patty, remind everyone where they can find you.
Chris?
Believe This on Spotify and anywhere you find podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram, all those things. You can find us on Believe This Mondays with Dr. J on New FM HD Radio. Am I saying that right, Patty?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can see Patty with Dr. J on Fridays. They ditched me for Fridays, but you can see that.
I got bigger boobs.
barely.
And what's our email address? BTpod for
the number 4, letter U.
Yeah, email us. Listen to an episode and tell us if these mics sound better than the first season. Thank you.
I think better already. Mick,
go check out the Scene Snobs. I just thank you for having me back, man. I always appreciate it. Great to see you, Ron. I'm sorry to hear you're going on sabbatical. Hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
And good luck to you, sir. I'm not going to say why, but good luck to you. Always important and pulling for you, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate you as always, Mick.
Thank you. But thank you guys for watching this tonight, and glad to meet you, Chris and Patricia. Everybody, go check out the Scene Snobs. But thank you again, Jeff, for having me.
Jeff, thank you so much. You're always so kind and so gracious.
You guys are
We're
all
a success because of you.
I agree. The Ron.
Yeah, so I'm back on Delta Airlines actually tomorrow morning, off to New York City with my lovely bride, who we are celebrating our 25-year wedding anniversary this weekend in New York.
Congratulations!
We're going to go see a couple of shows, which are hilarious because we bought a bunch of shows like 6 months ago, not knowing that both of them would be Tony Award winners, and we didn't even know it.
Merrily We Roll Along.
We are seeing Merrily We Roll Along.
I worked with Lindsay Mendez on All Rise.
How about that? Well, I have to tell you, and we're also seeing Hell's Kitchen, but I'm so pumped about Merrily We Roll Along. And
I'll tell you, Back to the Future is in the TKTS. You can go see that. That looks supposed to be amazing. And then the Little Shop of Horrors revival is
I have a love affair with Little Shop of Horrors.
I love it too. But let me tell you something. I was just in New York for a conference for something not podcast related last week. I'm in Times Square. They have where the TKTS booth is. There's like these big bleachers or whatever, stairs. So people are sitting there and it's all walled off. And they're doing, there's a bunch of actors and they're doing a script reading. And so they end it and the guy gets up and I'm like, holy shit, that is Bill Murray. And so Sarah Paulson was there too. And who looks just like a normal person. Like had I not known like she was doing a play, I would have looked at her and go, she looks familiar. She just looked like, but you know what I'm saying? Like when you're on TV, it's like you're Sarah Paulson, but like when you're just hanging in Times Square with it's you look like a normal person and not Bill Murray. Bill Murray is Bill Murray, but I'm 10 feet away from Bill Murray. I got a picture. So it was like, I didn't meet him, but in bucket list world, being 10 feet away from Bill Murray, having a Bill Murray sighting.
He's a tough
Just as
one,
good.
Jeff. Bill Murray's a tough one. He's famously shy and famously resistant to that kind of thing. So
And he's
good-
not
good-
very
good-
not very nice.
No, that's what I've
Yeah.
heard. But
You
good for
couldn't
you.
get
I
near him.
waited
Huh?
on him. No,
Okay,
I've waited on him.
We will not speak bad of Mr. Murray on the show. Yeah, but it was interesting. Like he was
That's for
looking
Chevy
out at us, and you could see on his face, it was like there was as if none of us were there.
Yeah.
It was like it was. Andy didn't even react. I'm ready to fall over. I'm like, and
awesome.
it was really cool. And then all right, so that's awesome. And then I am Jeff Jawaskin, Classic Conversations, celebrating 4 years. And
Congratulations.
325 episode is coming out on
Wow.
Monday.
Good for you, Jeff. That's great.
That's pretty
Congrats.
cool. And
Very
then yeah, I've got some cool interviews in the can that I'm excited to get out. But I did
You and your
have,
bank, your vault filled
Vault.
with interviews.
I have so many. I have so many. And I was like, and then it was I never talk about who I'm going to interview until they're on the show, but like I saw the Hollywood show was going on and I knew someone at the Hollywood show. So I'm like, oh, ask around, see if you can get some people on my show.
Seth Rogen.
I tried to get him once. He didn't.
I was always hoping, Jeff, that you would get one of the roasters from the Comedy Central roasts, like just any of them,
Ooh.
any of those guys.
Mm.
I did work with Jeff Ross once. I opened for him.
Oh,
You should ask him on.
V1.
It would be fun.
It
yeah.
would be fine. But yeah, I'll see what I can do there. So anyway, Classic Conversations. Check it out.
Nice.
All
Nice.
right. Let's see here. I don't have a good ending anymore since everyone left the show.
Oh, can I ask you something real quick before we go?
Yes.
Did you just have the Brady Bunch theme, just the episode we were on?
No, once Sal and Bob retired, we didn't. It was silly, and then Howard wasn't here anymore. No, right. So no, we did that for many 100 or plus episodes.
We killed it, Patty.
You killed it.
We
But
killed
you
it.
did. But you can always say you did it in your memoirs. You're like,
That's right.
All right, we're saying goodnight. We're saying goodnight.
Good night. Good
Thanks,
night.
everyone.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
guys.
everybody.
And that is the end of the show.